Hey, there we are.
Hey, we starting.
Yay, we did it.
No delays this time.
It-
Everything's on time. Everything's running smooth.
Can I
No
just
broken
say,
PC.
it feels super weird to be in my house doing Talking Heads at 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
I never thought that would feel weird, but here we are. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 299, which means next week might be another weird show where we're out and about, maybe at a different time. But episode 299, your once week live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Steve.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is also down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there.
Yep. It's daily. Go there daily. You go there daily. I think all the hosts go there daily, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hang out and chat. Yeah. It's always a good time over there.
There's the occasional Gearling guy and Dr. Tech Potato sightings.
Yep.
I think Tom Lawrence is over there.
Yep.
We got a lot of really cool people who are over in that Discord server. It's over 800 members strong, and the conversations are fantastic.
They're fairly well behaved. Everybody's really well behaved over there.
I love my community, and I'm not just saying that. You guys literally mean the world to me, so thank you. Anyway, it's gonna be a good show. We've got some GTA 6 leaks to talk about, not related to the game, but related to how they were leaked. Apple is suddenly a right to repair advocate, which should raise everyone's eyebrows as high as possible. The FCC says piss off to ISPs, saying, yes, you do in fact have to itemize all your taxes and fees. And we've got a couple beer notes to get to as well. But let's go ahead and start the show the best way we know how, and that is by cracking open a beer. Steve,
Yes.
I will let you do the honors, sir.
Okay. All right. This week, I kind of briefly mentioned it before the show started. Most people here on the channel know Fort George, right? Fort George is a pretty famous brewery here in Oregon.
Closest brewery to the Goonies house.
That's right. In Goonie Town. And they're pretty famous for their three-way IPA, their Matrushka, the Kavatka Stout, which you really like, is also Fort George. So the head brewer, I should say the former head brewer at Fort George, decided to open up his own place. And it's right there in Astoria. It's called Obelisk Brewing. And I just happened to be there this last weekend. And I picked up 2 cans of this. I got their hazy IPA, which is called Sculpture Garden. Oh, no, that's the West Coast IPA. It's the Sculpture Garden. And their hazy is called Auto Magically. So it's, we'll see how they are. I mean, I'm expecting big things. This is, from a former brewer who made beers that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what these taste like.
Yeah, Fort George is one of those breweries that I've never had anything I even didn't remotely like from them.
Right.
Like everything, if you're rating it on Untapped, starts at a 3.5 and goes up from there. Like they're that kind of brewery. And you mentioned a lot of our favorites. There's the annual 3-way IPA. There's Matrushka. There's Magnumonious. It's a fantastic wintertime IPA.
Greenfields is also awesome.
Greenfields is awesome.
Great,
The classic Vortex IPA. Like they have some really heavy hitters over there. They are all fantastic. So I'm really curious to see what you think of these new ones. From their former brewer.
I'm probably going to start with the West Coast IPA because I think that's probably going to be a good example.
I think that's a smart way to go.
Yeah, let's start with that one.
So I have 2 beers in front of me. One of which is going to feel a little weird because I'm just going to drink it straight from the can. because I feel like it. From 10 Barrel Brewing, again a craft brewer. They're officially a craft brewer.
They're back to being craft. That's correct.
Right.
They're no longer owned by InBev.
Right. From 10 Barrel Brewing, it is the classic pub beer lager, 4.5%. 5% even.
5%.
But I went, you know what? I feel like a lager tonight to start things off. That's while I'm waiting for a very special beer to come up to temperature a little bit. So there's a particular beer that while I was spending a week in Nova Scotia, I think I saw 5 or 6 bottles of it over on the Discord. And I went, well, hell, I have one of those at home. So I'm going to open that as soon as I get home. And so I will be opening that probably in about 45 minutes or so. So stay tuned to find out what that one is. But 10 Barrel Brewing, pub beer.
Yes, I have a fridge full of that stuff because that is basically my go-to lager.
Yep.
It's delicious.
Do you know what I paid?
It's really good.
Do you know what I paid for this last time I bought?
Oh yes, I also get it because it's cheap too.
No, I got it at an insane price. So
you did.
So they sell this as 18 packs. I spent $12 on my last 18 pack of it. I got it for 66 cents a can.
Yeah, I think that's about what I got mine for too. Yeah. But it's good, just standard beer. It's better than I would say, like, because a lot of people like Pabst Blue Ribbon and stuff like that, or something more local. I don't know if other people have the Montucky Cold Snack. That's another one.
Yeah.
Well,
up here you've got your Rainier. You've got
Rainier. Yeah, Rhett loves his Rainier.
Yep.
Yeah, but I find that pub beer is just really good. A nice, easy drinking beer, especially on a hot day. It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's kind of a German-inspired lager. You got a little bit of that that estery flavor, just that hint of banana.
Just a hint of it. Yep.
But no, this is one of my go-to lawnmower beers. This is one of my usually a beer that I've got in my fridge at any point in time. So we do have a couple shout-outs to give. So Friar Duck is drinking a Woodford and Screwball.
Oh, nice.
Adamar says, hello, everyone from Brazil. Hello.
Wow, from Brazil.
Yeah. Michael says, Dr. Pepper, 3 1/4 years sober. Excellent. Congratulations on that,
Congrats.
sir. Illness, drinking a Cooper's Hawk Sweet Red. Let's see. Jason says, it's my turn to be in an alternate location in Troutdale for a couple of nights.
Oh, wow. Troutdale's fun.
Yeah. Where all FedEx packages go to die.
Yeah, well, it's also home of Edgefield, Mickey Miniman's Edgefield. This is one of my favorite places to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sean drinking a Sierra Nevada Torpedo Extra IPA this evening. I've had the
good.
Torpedo.
Sierra.
I don't know if I've had the Extra.
There's like some cocaine in it. Is that the extra part?
Right. Let's see. Tech Guy just drinking water tonight. Currently updating SSL certs on a bunch of SIS for local schools. I support, so no alcohol. That's totally okay. Water's a good alternative in that situation.
That's what I typically drink on the off hours.
Yeah. Grace Novella is drinking a Grayscale 11 years triple IPA 4.04 on Untappd from Westerly, Rhode Island.
Wow, that's must be a hard one for us to get a hold of.
Yeah.
I've never heard of those guys. Oh, it says, thanks, John J. John J sent it to him, probably.
Yes, yeah. Skulls got a single speed brewing Control Alt beer. I like that.
That sounds a good one, too. Control Alt beer.
Yes. And I think I saw one more. Ben is drinking a Spotted Cow from New Glarus. Little Madison, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the news. And I'm hoping to leave some time at the end of today's episode for a little bit of Q&A. If you're not aware, I spent the last week, I got back Monday night at 11:30 p.m. From spending 7 days in Nova Scotia, Canada, home of 45 Drives. Talking to them about a number of different things, including their home lab server that they will be launching here probably within the next 2 to 3 weeks. We should be starting to see things hitting storefronts and whatnot. And talking to them about a number of different things. I don't want to spoil everyone else's talk, but I gave them an idea for a product that I think might actually become a product rather quickly, and I'm kind of excited about that. But we'll have time for that at the end of the show. For right now, apparently last week, while I was gone, there was a GTA 6, some footage, game assets, and whatnot were leaked. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. And, you know, sometimes we'll cover stuff like this, but I don't like giving a lot of attention to leaked footage for games, simply because I don't agree with it. It's something that shouldn't happen, especially if they were illegally obtained. If it's something where a company screwed up, yeah, let's look at some of the screen art. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. But this one was legitimately stolen by a bad actor. But we are going to look at this one because of the way the data was obtained. I think it's newsworthy all the same.
Yeah.
So, there's a gentleman by the name of Arian Kurtaj.
You probably pronounced it as well as I could.
Yeah,
to be honest. Kurtaj sounds right to me.
Member of the hacking group Lapsus. He was arrested a couple of months ago, and for hacking and leaking other sensitive data from other companies. The 17-year-old was convicted, or him and a fellow hacker were put on trial, and his counterpart was convicted, but Kurtaj is still out on bail. So he's out on bail in the UK, and he is, as terms of his bail, are not allowed to access the internet in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, he's still under some form of surveillance and imprisonment even while he's out on bail, because they consider him a flight risk and a couple other things. Like, okay, we'll just put you up in a hotel for a couple of weeks. You can live within the hotel, but no internet for you, no devices for you. You can watch TV, and that. Other than that, that's it. Well, apparently, Kurtaj got a hold of an Amazon Fire TV stick and a keyboard, and with those devices, managed to hack into Take-Two servers and downloaded a plethora of information and game assets from GTA 6 and leak it all from his hotel room while under surveillance.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. And I know that there's a big Fire Stick hacking community out there. I've seen messages like that before, but that's without a laptop or something. And I think he had a phone as well.
Yeah, he did obtain a phone. So he obtained a Fire TV stick, and I believe with the Fire TV stick may have gotten online and purchased a phone and a keyboard, and then with nothing but those devices managed to breach into Rockstar Games, even announcing himself as an attacker in the company's official Slack channel.
Yep.
And yeah,
I don't know how he did it. That's I know that they're pretty easily hacked, because I've seen people guides online how to get free channels and stuff like that on a Fire Stick all the time. I don't know if they've locked it down recently, because I haven't seen too much talk about it, but apparently they're pretty vulnerable, I'm guessing. I don't know. It seems pretty interesting to me, and I can't even figure out. I mean, it's got internet connection. It's got a small processor in it, so it's got some kind of connection.
Yeah,
so he probably rooted it with his phone somehow. I'm guessing, and then from there uploaded some kind of software from his phone onto it, and I guess the rest is that. I don't know. They're not going to give us too many details, of course, but
right.
I still find it pretty funny that they could do that.
It's still insanely impressive that this happened. So, Lapsus as a hacking group has also allegedly hacked Samsung, T-Mobile, and Microsoft in separate accounts, and their motives for the attack appear to be a mix of financial gain through blackmail or sheer amusement, which is like, a la 1980s and 70s hacking. Yeah. It's just kind of...
Just do it just to see if you could type of stuff.
Right, exactly.
War games type stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So... yeah, super interesting story. Obviously, Rockstar's probably not happy about it. Obviously, yes, this was done illegally. Obviously, yes, this was probably more than just for the lulz hacking and whatnot. Like, Lapsus has a very shady past of blackmail in the cybersecurity community. Not terrific. But... you still got to go, okay, damn, that's impressive. And getting a hold of a Fire TV stick and managing to use that to crack into Rockstar.
Yeah.
All right.
That's some
okay.
That's some making a shiv out of a popsicle stick type hacking.
Yeah. What did you do with arts and crafts today?
Oh, he made a shiv out of soap.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I did the assets that got leaked? I didn't really, because I heard more about the story of the hacker getting arrested and how he did it than the actual assets that were leaked.
Right, and there have been some leaks about the map size, some of the technology used within it. There's been a lot of talk about dynamic weather and the sheer scale of a lot of the things. So, but I didn't really look into a whole lot of it, again, because I don't really like... someone made a comment and I already replied to them. Good, Rockstar had this coming. They make games, for God's sakes.
Why do they need to have it coming?
They're not killing anyone. They're not, yes, they're a corporation, but good Lord, no one deserves to have their IP hacked. Like, that's not cool. That's not, I say the same thing about Microsoft. Say what you will about Microsoft and Windows and their policies, or Apple or Facebook. Right. Or there's still companies, and these companies employ people, and, oh, they had this coming. What an effed up thing to say.
Well, I mean, infosec is become big business, right? To make sure your information is secure, and a lot of companies are employing huge infosec companies to make sure their stuff doesn't get hacked.
Yeah,
and it's not only, and that's when stuff like this happens. That's when they get more bolsterous, and not only does the company suffer, but the people who work there suffer, because they have to now start going through draconian security measures just to do their work.
Yeah. No one deserves to get hacked. Like, come on. This is a company that makes video games. You might not like their policies, and if you don't like their policies, then stop buying their crap. But come on.
No. And some people thought that maybe they were doing this for publicity. I don't think Rockstar needs any publicity at all. Everybody knows it's coming out. Everybody's looking forward to it. Rockstar does not really need to advertise. I mean, people are going to buy their game no matter what. So. Yeah, I think you're right. It was like surface map images and stuff like that got leaked. Nothing too terribly crazy.
Right. Like I said, there's some mentions of dynamic weather systems. There's some character models and things like that. Obviously, no gameplay, no videos.
No.
It always drives me nuts too. Gosh, what was the? There was another video game leak that I was reading about. Oh, someone did a retrospective of the Half-Life 2 beta.
Yeah,
recently.
I was just going to say the Half-Life 2 leak.
Yeah.
I remember that. Because it was released in compilable. Like you can actually play the game a little bit. I mean, it wasn't
kind
of play a level. Yeah, kind of. You can kind of play it.
Because game development is not like, okay, we're 95% of the way there, which means it's 95% put together. No, your assets are 95% built. Your story is 95% built. That doesn't mean you can compile a version of the game and play 95% of it. That's not how game development
That's not how it works. They don't start at the beginning and go all the way to the end.
Right.
It doesn't work like that.
Right. And
they build pieces little by little over and over and over.
So one of the comments made during this retrospective, I had 5.5 hours to kill on a plane. I watched a lot of YouTube. And this one popped up and I'm like, oh, I remember that. And so I watched it. But anyway, he goes, one of the things that we learned from the leak is that Valve had been basically blowing smoke up all of our butts about how close the game was to being finished a year prior to the launch date. And so they would compile versions of this game, and it would include character insertions with little to no animation and just basic textures on a map and like checkerboard placeholders and everything else. Like, this game isn't anywhere near complete. It's like, yes, it is, actually.
Yeah. Like, those are considered finishing touches. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, applying your texture map is like one of the last things you do in compiling a game.
Yeah. So a lot of times people just put like their infamous Valve checkerboard insert texture here type of texture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even when people like people who build maps for games and stuff like that, that's the last thing they typically do. They have an idea, they usually sketch it out and they have some concept art, but they're gonna do a rough build of the map first and then play test that to make sure that works. And then they'll apply the details on it, because you're not going to spend so much time on the details and the high-end stuff just to have to like rip it all out because, this isn't working, guys. Let's toss it. You're going to do a rough build of it first. And then once you say, okay, this is a lock, then they're going to go in and put in the details. That makes a lot more. Same thing with movies.
Right.
Like, when they do the special effects, there's always this weird grayscale special effects monster in place of what the final thing is going to be, just to see if the scene plays out. Once that looks good, then they get the high res rendered nice looking
it's like the monster. It's like the Wolverine leak. Remember when that happened? And it's missing entire swaths of special effects, and in some cases it was literally Hugh Jackman just like yelling on a black stage kind of thing. And people go, "Oh, the movie's nowhere near complete." No, it's just this particular composite of it didn't include that scene. Like that's on someone else's desk ready to be inserted. So never take from game or media leaks as far as completion or what the end product might be or things like that, because unless you have the entire flowchart up in front of you, like you also pulled that off a developer's desk of like things left to be done, you're probably wrong.
Most projects will have a timeline. 95% means they've gone through most of that timeline.
So one of my mods apparently has now been a member of the channel for 60 months.
Wow.
That's right. No one gets a free ride around here. So thank you, Skull. And he goes, can I at least get a desk crystal for my anniversary reward? I think I need to figure out a way to get Skull a desk crystal, like Picard's desk crystal or something like that. Like find a replica of that. Or find someone who will sell me a crystal that I can engrave on my laser engraver with like craft computing and 5-year mod or something like. We need to do something.
Wasn't it just a rock salt thing, the Picard desk crystal? No, it wasn't that. No, he had the. Sorry, it looked like a crystal. Yeah. It kind of looked like the Superman crystal that from the old 80s Superman, when he used that to make his Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah. Yep. No, I need to find something. There needs to be some kind of award I can give to mods who have been with me, 5-6 years in some cases. So
yeah. something that can't be drank.
Right.
That'll just go away. That'll be gone fast.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, it'll last forever. You can't drink it. You can't eat it. Looks nice, but it'll always be there.
Yeah. Novella Hub saying, I need to catch up. Only 36 months. Pleb.
Yeah.
You were 2 years late to the party.
You're going to find a nice crystal to put on Skull's desk, and it's going to end up at some Goodwill nearby. It's like, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Well, like every episode of Talking Heads, this one also has a sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by Linode. Hosting your own servers also means you get to host all your own problems, and even the most skilled network engineer will tell you you should decentralize your network. So why not host your services with Linode? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes software from most of my tutorials on the channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS servers, VPN gateways, your own cloud-based Plex server, and more. They offer shared CPU plans for as little as $5 per month and can scale as high as your needs go, whether it be virtualized hosting, dedicated enterprise GPUs, or NVMe block storage. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site. Because remember, RAID is not a backup. Linode is also expanding at light speed, with 12 new global data centers planned before the end of this year. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. Again, that's linode.com/craftcomputing, and a huge thanks to Linode for sponsoring today's episode.
Dankeschön, Linode. Dankeschön.
Dankeschön.
Dankeschön?
Dankeschön. Yes.
Dankeschön. Oh, yes. You took several years of German, right?
Ich kann ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen.
I've only drank several years of German.
Right. Well, we're about even then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, I'm definitely not fluent in speaking it. I can understand enough of like common, like if you ask me a question on the street very slowly, word by word, I might be able to form an answer back depending on what it is you're asking. And I mean like common things, like, how much does this cost? Where is the bathroom? Like,
yeah,
I can do those.
How big is your Wiener Schnitzel?
I can read a little bit better than I can speak and understand, but it's still not great. Like I would not call myself fluent in any stretch of the imagination.
Okay. Well, I don't know much either. I know how to say their beers and some of their foods and some of their cuss words, and that's about it.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, I can swear like a German sailor.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like the first thing everybody learns in the language is the swear words.
That's right. Otherwise, what's the point?
I know. Come on. That's the first. I'm gonna go visit some country. The first thing I want to do is swear.
Right. When you realize that Scheissekopf is included in the original Wolfenstein cut.
Yes. Yeah, but they're like, the
Americans aren't going to understand what we're saying.
They're not going to know.
So,
I mean, come on. Scheisse is like, it's pretty close to the the English version.
Scheisse, yes, is, but they said Scheissekopf, which is head. And so when you put it together, it's one word in one string.
I see.
And so the original, German soldiers were saying Scheissekopf.
Yes.
And yes. That made the original English version with a PG-12 rating.
Oh yeah. That's how all the kids know how to sing it in German now.
Yep. I remember starting to learn German and then going back and playing Wolfenstein, and I went, "Oh, how did that get in there?"
Oh yeah. Oh. The censors did not know how to speak German, obviously.
Yeah. Why did I learn it? Because my high school offered French, Spanish, or German, and German seemed like more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, ours offered Spanish and Russian, and I took Russian. Kind of makes more sense for me anyway.
Can Linode run scum servers? That's a great question. I don't know if the Scum server is natively Linux. So Linode, what they do is they host Linux VMs. And so you can buy a virtual instance and you can run Linux-based applications. Technically, you should be able to do even like Proton support for running applications. So in theory, even if you had a Windows-based game server that you wanted to host and it was a Windows only executable, you might be able to get there. But I think if you're looking at hosting a Windows-based executable, there's probably better services to look at. Yes. Anyway, tell you what, I'm like one swallow left on this. Let's open. Oh, yeah. I'll open my next beer, and then we'll get into.
And while you're opening it, I'll give my critique on my first Obelisk beer. I'm gonna say this right away. It's a good IPA. It's not blowing me away. This is very reminiscent of Fort George's Vortex IPA. Which kind of makes sense. I mean, that's the guy probably invented it, so he's like gonna stick with what he knows. It's a little more hoppy than I would say Vortex, and a little more malty. But I would say if I were to rate it on Untapped, I would probably give it a 3.75 around there. Not quite to the 4.0 level yet.
Look at that wax cut.
Oh, nice!
I got the whole thing in one shot. Like, that is one of my best wax cuts of all time.
That's the thing about wax tops. It's always just a kludge to get those things open sometimes. But look at that. Perfect.
That is gorgeous.
Now, you got a nice wax bottle cap.
Oh, that is perfect. Anyway, so I was up in Nova Scotia for the last week. And I saw probably 5 or 6 of these being opened in the Discord server. From various things. Hey Jeff, Mitch from 45 Drives here. Glad to see you made it home safe and sound. Haha. You are up late. It is 10:30 over there, man.
Oh yeah.
But Mitch, fantastic to meet you. I did make it home safe and sound, although it took me an extra day to get here. But no, I did make it home. Mitch, as some of you might remember, was on the show last week. He's one of the dynamic duo of Mitch and Brett over on 45 Drive's YouTube channel. So make sure to go give them a subscription. They do actually make some genuinely good content around a lot of open source projects. Ceph in particular. Mitch was one of the people who put together the running a Ceph cluster on Steam Decks. So, which was a particularly enjoyable video.
That's an interesting project.
Yes. So yeah, no, that was a lot of fun, and again, Mitch, thank you for having me. That was so much fun.
Oh well, I see why he's up. Did you see what he says?
What do you say?
On vacation, Starfield's starting TM midnight, so that's why he's. Which is the 30. It comes. Well, I don't know if it drops tomorrow or Friday.
Drops on.
It's supposed to be Friday.
Its GMT date is September 1st. Yeah. But I believe it drops at like 5 p.m. for us tomorrow or something like that on early access. The official global release date is September 6th. But if you bought the digital edition or the plus edition, you get 5-day early access.
Yeah. What's the download size on that thing? It's got to be gigantic.
Yeah, tomorrow 9 p.m. for him and 5 p.m. for us. That corroborates what I was thinking. Yes. Yeah. I have mine already preloaded on my PC. So I'm hoping to jump in there and have some fun.
140 gigs.
Anyway, so
140 gigs.
So yeah, while I was over at 45 Drives, like 4 or 5, maybe 6 people in my Discord server opened variants of this bottle, and I was over there going, well, I have one of those. I'm gonna drink it when I get home. So from Fremont Brewing, it is the B-Bomb, but the 2021 edition. So this one spent an additional 2 years on my shelf. Seattle, Washington, 13.5% ABV. So this is an Imperial Winter Ale aged in bourbon barrels.
Yes. And usually it's got some touch of coconut in there.
Oh, yeah. It's right there on the nose on this one.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. B-bomb is excellent. I will, anytime I see that at a tap house, I will take a little snout of that because it's usually absolutely delicious. But bottles of it, I think they're running now like around $20 a bottle, aren't they?
It's about what I spent. Yeah. I bought this maybe a year ago or so. Found one at a tap house around me, and so. But best way to have it, get yourself a craft computing pint glass.
That's right. A whole pint of a, what is it, 12% beer? 14%?
13.5.
13.5. Okay, I was close.
So there you go.
That's going to get you there.
Yes. Yeah, craftcomputing.store for those interested. We've got bottle openers, we've got pint glasses, we've got coasters, we've got flasks, we've got all things to help you drink like a pro. How's that? Let's see. Slow Hardware sends over two Kiwi bucks. Thank you very much. Jeff, have you ever played Darkest of Days? I have not.
Yeah, I don't even have that. That's the
not even sure I know what that one is.
That's the time traveling first person shooter. I remember playing it a long time ago. I think you go to back to Civil War and stuff, if I remember right. I thought it was kind of a unique take on first person shooter because you go back in time and you still have modern weapons.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, you go back in time and you have modern weapons, and so you can just
let me put
it was
this
very. I remember it being very linear. It had a great concept, but the gameplay was just kind of
yeah. Let me. I love when this happens, where someone will say, "Hey, did you ever play this game that was only on a console 2, maybe 3 generations ago?" And I've never even heard of that game. And I type it in, and the first result is get Darkest of Days on Steam. And it was a really late release, came out as a classic thing. The second is to download it on myabandonware.com.
Is it Abandonware? Who made it? I don't remember who made it even.
It is. Developer was 8 Monkey Labs. Publisher was Akella, Phantom EFX, TGC. So yes, it is likely officially Abandonware.
Yeah, 8 Monkey Labs. Was that their only thing that they put out? Must have been.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. It looks like they're part of Moby Games now, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? But nothing makes you feel older than going, yeah, no, I completely missed that one. Oh, and it's already Abandonware.
Yeah. It belongs in a museum.
Yes.
No, I remember playing. I beat that game. I went all the way through it. If I remember it wasn't very long either. It was kind of a short game.
Yeah.
But it was interesting concept, but poorly executed, I thought.
Yeah. And sometimes those games hit, and sometimes they don't.
Sometimes they don't.
Yeah, and that's just the way it goes. Green sends over $5. Thank you very much, Green. Looking to load the 5 Tesla P4s into a gaming server tonight. Wish me luck. Knock on wood. No explosions. Well, they're only 70 watts each, so what's the worst that you can do?
Yeah, that's a small shock.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. B-bomb. The coconut holds through. Even for an aged beer. We talk all the time. Coconut's one of the hardest flavors to maintain through the brewing process. And this one, it holds up pretty well. There's a lot of coconut on the nose. It's not quite as present in the flavor. And being a dark winter ale, this is not a stout. Don't get those confused. You're not going to get the roasty chocolate and coffee and super dark, dense flavors. This is more like a little bit of allspice and cinnamon and nutmeg and some warmer like seasonal, winter flavors. It's still got, some of the richer sweetness to it. It's a little bit of caramel, a little bit of butterscotch to it. But quite a bit brighter than an imperial stout would be, but still 13%.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. I remember having several bee bombs because I think John's got a whole shelf of bee bombs in his in his beer fridge. So he's aging quite a few of them, and they're all good. And I kind of wonder, and I don't know, because like you said, yes, the coconut doesn't really stand very well through the brewing process. They probably add it at the end. It's probably something they flavor it with, maybe like steep it for like a couple of days before they bottle it, maybe.
Right.
But I can't see it really lasting that well through the aging process because these are barrel aged, right?
Yes. Yeah. These are also aged in bourbon.
So you don't want bits of coconut floating around while you're barrel aging it. So they must add it either before or after. And I can't see them doing it before because then that was just going to diminish it. They probably do it after.
Yeah. Yeah, no, almost like back sweetening, like giving it a final rinse in coconut before you.
Yeah, there you go. Let's get put a touch of coconut in there.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad way to do it.
No. I mean, I do that with my ciders when I want to get it a little bit sweeter because, like, I personally like drier ciders, so I don't mind it being very dry. But a lot of people like them a little sweet. So before I keg it, I'll just put some apple concentrate in there or something like that and give it some extra sweetness.
Yeah. All right. So Apple. Now I've got two different news articles posted, and you need to pay attention to both of these. And I've lobbied very similar things at Apple over the last year as it relates to their Apple Repair program for non-Apple trusted partners and things like that, about how Apple is trying to do the absolute bare minimum while also maintaining control of the repair process top to bottom. And what did I say when Apple went like, well, we're going to start allowing, some people, under an approved license to rent our official repair tools and still do core charges for parts that go out. So no one's going to hold any back stock. But, if you need to replace a motherboard on a 2-year-old product, we don't have any problem with that. That's not right to repair. And what did I say would happen? It would be prohibitively expensive. It's still a single vendor tie-in to whatever your repair process is. Apple still holds the keys to the kingdom. They're just trying to show Congress that, of course we're all for consumer rights.
We're playing ball. We're playing ball, guys.
So it was all a ruse to not get legislation passed where they had to continue maintaining products, where they had to sell parts to anyone and everyone who could possibly want a part or need to replace a part. It's all a game that they're trying to play to maintain control. So, color me skeptical when Apple takes a major U-turn on existing policy and backs a California right to repair bill in a major policy shift. Apple is backing a right to repair bill in California, a major shift from company's policies. The iPhone maker has historically opposed right to repair efforts. Apple customers would have access to parts and tools for 3 years after the date of manufacture for most of Apple's product lineup. Pay attention to that 3 years thing, because that's from the initial launch date of the product, which means they're still only supporting the product for 3 years.
3 years, that's it.
I don't know about you. I expect more than 3 years out of my laptops. I expect more than 3 years out of my desktops. I expect more than 3 years out of my phones, for crying out loud, especially if I buy a flagship phone.
Yes.
So let the skepticism begin. This is not a, major U-turn for Apple. This is not a major shift in company policy, according to CNBC. Let's move on to the Forbes article, shall we? Shock Apple U-turn leaves future of iPhone software lockdown unknown. And this one goes into some more details about the actual repair bill and talking about the serialization of parts. And that is something that has been on the radar of people like Louis Rossmann and iFixit and whatnot, because Apple has been locking down at the firmware level the ability of consumers and even repair shops to do things like screen replacements, where you have to have Apple sync hardware to remate a screen or a digitizer with the motherboard that you're installing it onto. There's been a number of times where people were replacing iPad screens, and then they'll give it back to a customer, and the customer takes their pencil, and they can't draw a straight line because the digitizer is no longer 100% in sync. Let me just call BS on this, because the digitizer knows exactly where the pencil's at. Let me just say, maybe it's a firmware thing where they say, this isn't the digitizer that shipped with this. I'm going to just bug out for a while.
We're just going to go ahead and go screwball on you for the fun of it.
Yeah. John J. At Craft Computing, Apple Repair is such a joke. We used to have 200 plus parts on hand for repairs, and they dropped us down to about 30-ish, so most repairs would have to go to them. That's exactly right, and that's exactly what Apple wants, because for most iPhone repairs, for most laptop repairs, for most desktop repairs, they don't want you to be able to do it in store and turn the customer around and have the customer be happy. They want the customer to go, I have to give up my phone for like 4 days so you can replace the screen. I'll buy another phone.
Yeah. Make the process as painful as possible.
Right. So do not believe for a second. Don't do it. Don't do it at all. That Apple is suddenly pro-consumer and pro-right to repair. Nothing could be further from the truth, but they're trying to sell that narrative. And it makes me so incredibly irate that Apple is trying to play this game with consumers, and consumers are eating it hand over foot. They are eating this up, going, look at Apple, the benevolent $1 trillion company, cares about whether or not my iPhone 14, that I broke, that I can get a screen replacement for the next 3 years from the date it was manufactured. Even though I didn't buy the iPhone 14 at launch, I bought it 3 years later because it was the only flippin' phone that I could afford. But now that it's 3 years old and I just bought a brand new one, I can no longer buy a screen for it because they only support it for 3 years, but they sell it for 6. Don't believe it. Don't let them get away with it. Continue pushing for legislation over right to repair. Continue making this an open conversation, both with first and third party components. Make Apple support their freaking hardware. And this doesn't apply to just Apple. Make it make sense for Samsung. Push Microsoft on Surface. Microsoft claims that, the only way we could make the Surface is by, welding the screen and the LCD together into one single thing. Yet suddenly they can produce the Surface Go laptops that are completely modular, including batteries and SSDs and memory and everything else. And they're like, well, why couldn't you do that on the other products? And they're like, we totally could have. We just chose not to because we make a lot more money if we don't. Wow. That's very telling, isn't it? Bring back the headphone jack. I'm over the headphone jack thing. I do appreciate the headphone jack. Most of my devices have headphone jacks on them. It's less of a selling point for me. It is kind of like a... I had Bluetooth headphones on a plane for 5.5 hours, and my Bluetooth headphones lasted the entire flight. And really,
I think a lot of people do like using Bluetooth headsets. I enjoy them way more. I think it's people that don't really want to change out their stereo system in their car. Maybe they just have like an auxiliary cable to plug their phone into to listen to their phone in the car. Who knows? It depends. But yeah, it's always handy to have that. Some people don't like it. Some people do.
Yeah.
I still have auxiliary on my phone, or the headphone jack. I only use it like once in a while. Honestly, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's mine.
I have one of my cars it has Bluetooth, but doesn't have it has very old Bluetooth on it.
Yeah.
And so I use the auxiliary cable to plug it into it.
Yeah.
So that's always nice.
Couple more super chats. Slow Hardware, with World at War servers being back up, have you jammed some zombies with the boys yet? World at War was a little past my console-y gaming days, and I mean no offense to that. I'm just more of like a Halo 1 if I'm gonna get down with the boys and frag some of my friends. That's where I go. You know, or I go, you know, OG Counter-Strike or something like that. Nothing against World at War. Fantastic zombie game.
Who doesn't like a good zombie shooter?
Right, exactly. Although I am excited. Can I just say I downloaded Red Dead Redemption Game of the Year Edition for the Switch. Not via Nintendo's authorized servers.
Oh yeah.
Simply because it's one of the best zombie games that was ever made, period. Was the Undead Nightmare for Red Dead Redemption. Holy crap, what a game. I'm not paying you $50 though for it, Rockstar. I already bought the game twice, so
yeah, don't need to get third time.
I'm not paying for it a third time with no enhancements whatsoever, especially when you capped it at 30 FPS when it could darn well run at 60 on the Switch.
You could throttle that higher now, probably.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, did a video of you can run Red Dead Redemption on the Switch at 60 FPS if you have it modded, which mine is modded, so I'm going to make mine run at 60 FPS.
Oh, I also kind of wonder because now that you mentioned that, I didn't think about because Yuzu is actually pretty good. Yuzu's the kind of the prominent Switch emulator.
Mm-hmm.
It runs Tears of the Kingdom just fine. All kinds of things like that. And they have all kinds of mods for like capping frame rates, higher resolution, different textures, stuff like that. So I don't know. I should go look up to see if there's something they can do for Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah. I can confirm Red Dead Redemption runs pretty darn well on Yuzu. So.
Okay then.
Just saying.
Okay. All right.
Actually, so I was playing Red Dead Redemption on the RPCS3, which is the PlayStation 3 emulator, for a little bit. Did okay, but definitely some very high performance requirements, and still only runs at 720p native. You can bump up the resolution, but you're getting no higher textures or performance or anything like that.
Right, it's gonna blur things out a little bit.
There is one thing that I noticed on the Switch version in particular. It just feels a little crisper. Like the I don't know what difference the textures are. They're not enhanced textures, but they feel a little crisper based on 360 and RPCS3 emulation that I've done in the past. Speaking completely of emulation on Yuzu, Ryzen X, and RPCS3, and what is that, Xenia. It feels a little bit better on the Switch side of things. So, and I back that up with it feels a little better on the Switch itself too than it does emulated on other systems. So it's still not a remaster. Don't put words in my mouth, but it does feel a little better.
Okay.
Still not paying $50 for it though. Let's see. Shannon sends over $10. Thank you very much. Watching from Australia here. With PlayStation Plus increasing in price, how bad do you feel it's going to get with less and less physical disc releases happening? Actually, Australia, you are losing physical media in a lot of different situations. Yeah. And that sucks. That really sucks. Because Australia doesn't have the bandwidth to support, 100% digital media delivery, but a lot of companies now expect, such high profit margins on everything that they go, well, we're not going to ship physical media to the country because we only see 80% profit margin on that anyway. It's like, for God's sakes. Yeah, I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for you. I wish I could.
Yeah, I don't really know myself because I've stopped buying digital a long time. I mean, stopped buying physical a long time ago because most places don't really offer physical anymore. I always thought that eventually you'd go the route of just shipping things on USB sticks, and maybe they do.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do or not anymore. But I don't know. Digital seems to be more handy, more easy. I do back my stuff up because I have like a ton of backup space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have my complete Steam library backed up, but
I don't have the complete library. I've got a good chunk of it, though.
I don't. I mean, everybody who hangs out on the Discord knows I have a gigantic Steam library.
You have a pretty infamous Steam library.
Yes. So there's no way I'm backing that stuff up. But in my younger days, I was a bit of a pirate, and I have all my old ISOs backed up.
Mm-hmm.
So I have like my own little personal internet archive of old games.
Yep. I will say I have a. Obviously, I've got the hat that I'll put on from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of my old ISOs come from my own physical media library. Like I've always been about backing up a disc in case I loan it to a friend and that friend is less than genuine about returning it. And I did that for so many different things over the years. Where I still have my original ISOs for like Rebel Assault 2 and Monkey Island and like that I ripped myself on my Windows 95 revision C PC because I was so terrified of losing that media. And back in the day when you only had a couple of gigs of hard drive space, I think my Windows 95 PC might have had a 1.8 gig hard drive or something like that.
That was like amazing.
Right.
I'm never gonna fill that thing
right
up.
Well, I remember buying a 10 gig hard drive and then storing copies of some ISOs that I never wanted to lose, like Rebel Assault. Assault came on 2 CDs. That's 1,300 megabytes to back up those 2 discs, okay?
Yes. That's a lot of space, guys.
It's 10% of a 10 gig disc. I don't think anyone understands that these days.
Yeah.
That's like backing up Call of Duty on your 1 terabyte SSD. Yeah. That's how crazy that is, okay? So I did get a question from who asked that one? Michael. Hey, did you comment about Microsoft dropping the 14-day trial ahead of Starfield's release? I actually wasn't even aware of this, so I looked it up.
I didn't hear that
while we were doing some stuff. Microsoft had a $1 14-day Game Pass trial that they canceled as of this week, so people couldn't sign up for $1 and play the entirety of Starfield. In the 14-day period.
Wow.
How shady AF is that?
That's they want you to get that Starfield money. Yeah.
So Starfield will be available as a day 1 release title on Game Pass, and in fact, you get 5-day early access, so you could play it as soon as 5 p.m. Pacific time, or 9 p.m. Pacific time on, 5 p.m. Pacific. That's right. Tomorrow. But now instead of $1, it'll cost you $10 for a month. You can't do the $1 14-day trial period anymore.
Well, I mean, still, $10 versus $70 is still a pretty good deal if you want to play Starfield.
It really is. And the $1 14-day trial, let's face it, has always been a loss leader. I'm not defending Microsoft in the least. Pulling this a week before is kind of shady, but also totally not shady and totally what I would do if I was running this business as well. Like, let's be real about it. Just because you offer a 14-day trial at $1 doesn't mean you have to keep that going indefinitely, especially when you're literally going to launch a game that's going to print you $1 billion in a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people very, very excited about this game.
Right.
First IP from Bethesda that's not like a Fallout or an Elder Scrolls. So people are. It's an original, so it's gonna be and I heard if there's still a review embargo,
There is still a review embargo. I believe the review embargo ends at launch time.
Yes, at launch time.
So,
but there have been like whispers and mentions. They're saying that this is like, Bethesda is notorious for all their bugs, and they're saying, well, this one's not that buggy. And like, okay, well, maybe because you gave just review copies out for a smattering of people. Once it goes out to the public, there's going to be huge amounts of bugs. I don't know. Are they using the Gamebryo engine for this one too?
Yes.
I can't imagine. It's still Gamebryo. Okay. Yeah. And Gamebryo is what they did with all the other ones, and it's always
it's still based on the Fallout 4 Elder Scrolls Online based engine, or a Fallout 76 based engine.
Yeah.
And this is all reminiscent. It's all an iteration of the same engine that goes all the way back to the to Morrowind, to Elder Scrolls 3.
Yeah.
It's just new iterations onto it and adding new features.
Yeah, Gamebryo.
Yeah. But it's not very buggy for a Bethesda game.
That's what they say. Yeah.
That's what they say. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for some new IP. I always get hyped for some new IP. The last new IP that I remember from Bethesda would be Dishonored. And probably, what was the... there was a multiplayer shooter that they came out with.
Oh, that's right. It kind of failed pretty quickly, even though people said it was pretty good. No, it wasn't that.
I mean, there was Rust. I mean, Rust is also a Bethesda title, but it wasn't that. It was I can see it. It's this powder blue background with a guy sliding under the title in like these white graffitied letters. Like, I can see the title screen. But it was a pretty fun game. But yeah. I'm looking forward to Starfield. I'm sure a lot of other people are.
You got your pre-order and everything done then, huh?
I'm already pre-installed.
I have not, but Brink. That's what it was.
Brink. Thank you.
Brink.
Yes.
That's what they were talking about. Brink. Yes. Brink.
Yeah. No, Brink was a Bethesda title.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. And I remember playing it when it first came out. It's like, oh, this could be fun. And then it kind of just like never took off.
Yep. Published by Bethesda Softworks.
Yeah.
Developer was Splash Damage, released on May 10th, 2011. Oh, that makes me feel old.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, God.
All right. Here's my second Obelisk beer.
Brink was Splash Damage, published by Bethesda.
Yeah.
I did remember that much.
So they didn't develop it, but it was published by them.
Yeah. There aren't a lot of games that I will buy prior to release. And I've talked about this before. Like, when I did go ahead and buy No Man's Sky a couple of days before. And that's typically when I'll pull the trigger on games that I need to play on day one. It is a couple of days before so I can pre-install. And so here we are, basically 24 hours from launch. I bought it today. I bought it this afternoon and hit pre-install simply because I saw it as an option.
Right.
Now at 5 p.m. I could just fire it up and I can go.
You're making me want to pre-order it now, Jeff.
Yeah. If it's Rockstar, if it's Bethesda, those are usually ones that I'll do that for.
Their record Fallout 76 was an abysmal launch.
I was at the launch event for Fallout 76.
Yes.
Never bought it.
Yeah.
Because I knew.
It was an abysmal launch. So you can't rely on Bethesda 100%.
Yeah.
Rockstar has a better track record.
I was at QuakeCon for the announcement for Fallout 76, and I went, boy, this one feels weird.
Yeah.
Like, this one feels like a miss. And I was there in person enough to go, they're trying to pass out some Kool-Aid, and I'm going to respectfully decline. we rely on the community for the dialogue of the story. Well, that's a failure from like that. That's a you problem. You know, you're going to find holotapes spread throughout the land, but we want the community to interact and tell a story to each other. That's a no from me, dog.
That's lazy.
Right. That's a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
There are no NPCs. Your fellow community is your NPCs. Oh, God. It's going to be nothing but dick-shaped settlements. I can see it now. Like, there are some things you learn to read. I will say the last game I got burned on was No Man's Sky. Where even a couple days before launch, there wasn't really anything coming out saying it wasn't going to be sprawling universe, you know, procedurally generated. Like, procedurally generated once, I think we already knew. Like, they procedurally generated the planets and the code is all there to, once you reach that planet, it'll go, oh yeah, the AI says to build this. Right. And so I think we all knew that, and I was accepting of that. Like, I didn't expect every single playthrough to go like, oh no, it's building me my own personal universe. Like, can you imagine the ultimate roguelite in that, or roguelike in that scenario? Like, oh yeah, I'm there. But I was expecting more depth to it, because I remember playing No Man's Sky on release day, and so I installed it, I fired it up, and I'm like, this feels like a game I'm going to put 1,000 hours into. I'm going to take it slow. I'm going to, you know, explore the planet. I'm going to gather resources. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you're walking around your first planet, and it's like, okay, you know, mission 1, repair your ship. And you're like, okay, I got this. And so I know some people who got off planet in like 2 hours. I didn't get off planet. I didn't get off planet for 13 hours because I was like...
it takes a few hours to get off planet. Yeah,
this is really cool. Oh, I want to check this out. Well, Steam return periods are, I think, 2 hours. And so you have 2 hours to figure out if you like a game or not. And I played it for 13 hours because I was like, oh, if this is this planet, everything's going to be like that much more insane, that much more diverse, that much more depth. That like, what happens when I get into outer space and you know, I start meeting these like rogue pirate factions and everything. And then you get into outer space and you realize there's only 2 types of space stations, and there's never any pirate encounters, and every planet you go to has the same 5 enemies, the same 5 bases, the same 9 different variants of flora that you already can identify from a mile away. And it took me 13 hours of gameplay to go like, all right, there's nothing.
There's not much here. There's not much here. Yeah,
right.
It's a mile wide but puddle deep.
Right. And so it's one of the only games I also submitted for a return request and asked for a second look at, like a human approval, going like, I know I'm past the return period. You guys have got to understand, this is not what was advertised, but it takes you 10 hours of gameplay to figure out it's not as advertised.
Yeah. I mean, but to their boon, they did fix that. It's supposed to be a lot better now. It's supposed to look a lot better now. And I kind of played that really well because I didn't buy No Man's Sky Day Zero or pre-order it. And it got lambasted. It was just once people realized that it was just really shallow, it got lambasted. People were like yourself asking for refunds. And then at one point they discounted it. I think it really quickly got to the point where it was like $15 on Steam or something. It was just like really cheap.
Yeah.
And I think I ended up picking it up for like maybe $10.
Yeah.
It was still at that point where it wasn't fixed yet. And they were trying to gain money from it, and so it was like $10-15. I was like, all right, I'll get it for $10-15. That's cheap.
Yeah. And
I picked it up for that, and then now that it's all back to like a really good game, I'm like, I'm happy with
I have since revisited it. It is genuinely a good game now. Like you can do almost everything that they promised in the trailer. The problem is the trailer was 4 years ago, and
yes, I know.
So yeah, it's interesting how that game has progressed and become the gold standard of like, you're not what you are at launch. The same can kind of be said of Cyberpunk. of games that have kind of redeemed themselves.
Yeah, that's one I haven't played yet either. I didn't buy that one either.
Yeah,
I don't have that one yet.
I did buy that one at launch.
Mm-hmm.
I had no problems whatsoever, but okay. I think that's because I had, a 1080 Ti or a 2080 or a 2070, and like could run the game. Mm-hmm. And when you're running at max settings, it does some stuff to the AI where they're not just going to walk back and forth on a crosswalk repeatedly. And whatnot. You actually have some diversity within your AI. And was it as polished as a Rockstar GTA 5? No.
Well, they were running high. CD Projekt Red was running high off of Witcher 3 success.
Yeah.
So everybody was expecting gold from them. And a lot of people really, really loving the cyberpunk genre. So they were expecting big things. And I think maybe just their expectations might have been too high.
Yeah. But if your expectations weren't a new GTA 5, not every game is going to be a GTA 5.
No.
Enthralling storytelling in cyberpunk. I've never been a fan of the Witcher series. I thought the gameplay was half-assed at best.
I kind of have an affinity to the Witcher series because I saw it literally emerge from a tiny little concept to this big multi-game stretch. Because I saw CD Projekt Red at E3 when they were just in the back room piggybacking off of BioWare.
You also met with them when we went to PAX.
That's right, I did.
Yeah, you and Rhett woke up early and went to the breakfast, and I'm like, no, I need to sleep in. I'm hungover from the Lenovo party.
Yeah. And so they because the original Witcher, the very first game, was an actual mod for the Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah,
game. It was just they was using the Neverwinter Nights engine. They eventually ripped all that out and made something new. So I actually really was involved, and I really liked the first game. The second one, I didn't like so much. It was a little too linear for me. It was just like, oh, here's one section, there's another section, here's another section. It wasn't really open world. It was very, very linear and kind of fetch quests, do this, do that. It was okay, but it wasn't great. But I haven't really gotten into the third one yet.
Yeah,
I have it, but I haven't gotten into it.
I've benchmarked the third one a couple of times. And when I say benchmarked a game, it means getting to a point where I find a scenario that is very repeatable as far as performance goes.
Right.
Where I know exactly what to expect, and it's the same result every single time within 1 or 2% of each other. So I played it to a specific mission where I can play that mission, and I have that save file, and I can run it through a benchmark if I need. Even Witcher 3 never grabbed me as far as gameplay goes. And the story for the first, I think, hour and a half was so slow, it didn't pull me in at all. And I'm sorry, fans of, the young, plucky CD Projekt Red Witcher 1 development and whatnot, that gameplay was shite. Like
the swordplay clicking took a while to get used to because
that gameplay was shite.
It was
scheisse, as the Germans would say.
What you're right. What it was and what I anchored it to, because do you remember before the old golf simulators where you would do the triple click to do the swing? You'd click to make your thing swing, and you'd click again.
It's the Madden kickoff.
Yeah. That's what they incorporated their swordplay into The Witcher.
Yeah,
the first one.
Yeah.
You would click, and you get to a point, you click again, and how close you were with your click was how well you swung your sword. And I thought at first when I played this, like, okay, this is different, and then it just got really old after a while because you were doing it a lot.
Playing The Witcher 1 and The Witcher 2 was like trying to enjoy Skyrim in third person.
It was isometric. You could. I think
no. It was clunky animations but it was Morrowind level combat mechanics where it was dice roll on screen with no associated animation correlating to what you're actually mechanically doing within the game.
Yeah.
And it felt disconnected from the inputs versus the output that I was getting. Mm-hmm. It felt clunky. And
I wasn't a big fan of the combat. I liked the story. Mm-hmm. I got the reason why I ended up liking it and finish it is because I liked the story. Mm-hmm. But you're right, the combat was very clunky, and once I figured it out, there really wasn't much of a challenge because it was very easy to get major hits and stuff like that. As long as you had a good sword, you could cut through anything really quickly.
Lumen says if they put Kingdom Come Deliverance controls into Witcher, it would be insane. Fully agreed. I freaking loved Kingdom Come Deliverance because they explained exactly what it was that they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. And it was actually it very much like Witcher. Like it feels so weird to be like, I loved the combat mechanics of Kingdom Come Deliverance, but I hated them in The Witcher. And I think it's because with Kingdom Come, it checked every box along the way. It was the animations line up with my inputs, line up with my outputs, line up with the damage dealt on screen versus the damage dealt to my character. If I get hit, it was my fault for not parrying in time. And in The Witcher, it felt like Morrowind level mechanics, which was literally dice roll and the screen flashes red even though the other character didn't swing their weapon. Whereas in Kingdom Come, they integrated the dice roll into the 5 position and parry mechanics and everything else, and integrated all that into the UI and the animations themselves. And so I'm a person who never understood the love for the Witcher series, but loved Kingdom Come Deliverance because of that integration. So nail on the head. I absolutely love that.
That's another one I have to go back into. I do have Kingdom Come Deliverance. I have it.
Did you ever play it?
No, not yet.
Oh my god,
dude! You know how big my backlog is. I find that okay. The funniest thing.
What are you in now? This is difficult to say with Starfield coming out in a day and a half. Yeah. You need to go back to Kingdom Come. You need to give that one a shot.
I have. So I started. I picked up Hogwarts Legacy, so I'm playing that a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then I'm still trying to finish. I got into Diablo 4. I still have to go back and finish the main quest because I'm like, okay, just like every RPG that I get into, I start going the main quest route, and then after a while, I start doing the side quests, and then I get involved in the side quests, and then the main quest just goes away, and then I'm like, crap, I got to get back to it.
Right.
I'm just going to go back and do the main quest and finish the main quest. I know I can go back and do Diablo 4 and I can do infinite side quests. So I'm just going to go back and focus on the main quest and finish it. Mm-hmm. So I can go do some other things. Yeah. I don't want to start meandering. But yes, no, Kingdom Come Deliverance is on there. Witcher 3 is on my list of things I want to do.
Yeah. I would put Kingdom Come above Witcher 3. I tried Witcher 3, and while it's better, it's better than the first 2. And I tried all these legitimately. Like, I tried 3-4 hours of gameplay, and I just couldn't get hooked. And I've played all manner of RPG, from the original Baldur's Gate to now Baldur's Gate 3, to Black and White, to... I
loved all the
Dragon's Dogma, Dark Arisen...
I like Planescape Torment. I love Icewind Dale.
Yeah, Icewind Dale.
I'm really curious about your take on Baldur's Gate 3. Everyone's saying it's the great new coming of Dungeons and Dragons RPG.
It's I like the fact that instead that I'm going to come back to Witcher on this one, and Morrowind even, because the mechanics of Morrowind were a tabletop game put into 3D form. Yes. Where every action was a dice roll. Rolling a d20 for, did my barter work? Did my intimidation work? Do I have enough skill to jump this high? If I swing my sword, what's the likelihood of a critical hit? Every aspect of Morrowind is a dice roll.
Yeah.
Every aspect of the original Witcher is a dice roll.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate literally just translates tabletop direct into 3D, kind of like Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh,
where when you enter a battle, it turns into a tabletop game where you can move so far, you can do one attack action, you can do one item action, and you roll the dice depending on what actions you take. And
I love Knights of the Old Republic.
Right.
Knights of the Old Republic
and
was
and
awesome.
so if you like Knights of the Old Republic, you will like Baldur's Gate 3 and the Baldur's Gate series.
I've seen some videos. It looks fabulous
because it's free explorer, free whatever you want to do. You know, you want to try to bang the bartender, like you can totally do that. But then when you get into combat, it goes, all right, tabletop game. Let's lay out our hexagon grid. You've got 7 movement actions. You and it even decimals them out. You know, I can move 7.2 meters in this move, and it's all turn based, and it's all
See, that's kind of completely different than the original Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale and Planescape Torment. Those were all, you can pause the action anytime you want, issue commands, do whatever you want, but as soon as you unpaused it, action happened.
Right.
So the turn-based, I mean, you could, I think there was an option where you can make it turn-based where if something happened, you had the opportunity to respond to that. Yeah. But like for the most part, people will just be like, oh, pause, do my action, let it go, pause, do my action.
This is very much like Knights of the Old Republic, where it is entirely turn-based the whole time.
Yeah, I still like that too.
Yeah. But as long as you're honest about what you're doing, and like I said with Witcher, it felt like they were trying to lean into Dungeons and Dragons, but they were also trying to be a real-time RPG, and they fell somewhere in the middle, and where they fell sucked.
Okay.
So, but no, after Starfield, after your playthrough of Starfield, you have to install Kingdom Come. And you have to play through it. I promise you.
I don't know if I'm going to get Starfield yet. I'm kind of leaning towards I am, but
Steve,
I don't know.
Steve, come on.
I've gotten every big Bethesda release except for Fallout 76. I've gotten every single one on opening day except for Fallout 76 because I was like you. I'm like, this seems a little shady.
This one feels weird, right?
This one does not feel weird.
No, this feels like a Bethesda official launch. This feels like Fallout 3. This feels like Skyrim. Yeah.
We do have a missed super chat. I think this is a while back. From Slow Hardware, $2 New Zealand bucks. Quake or Doom?
Doom.
What's your poison to both of you?
Doom.
Doom. I would say Doom as well.
I'm Doom.
Even when Quake was at the height of its multiplayer arena shooter, I still preferred Unreal Tournament over Quake.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though Quake was the first full 3D first person shooter, I think I still like Doom a little bit more.
It's not that I've never had some Quake LAN parties and tournaments and things that I've been in. You know, I've been in some 16-player Quake deathmatch arenas and things like that, where there's literally 16 PCs running in this room and a dedicated server somewhere. Like, I've done that. It's fun. It's a hell of a lot of fun. I have better memories of playing Doom 2 peer-to-peer Windows 95 with a couple of friends.
Yes,
than I do of like camaraderie and Quake. And it's nothing against Quake. Like Quake is a hell of a lot of fun. It was the first fully 3D rendered first person shooter. But it never really did it for me. I went straight from Doom to Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight as far as online multiplayer goes.
See, I went from Doom to Duke Nukem 3D.
Okay, yeah. No, and
but yeah, you know, because I found the multiplayer Duke Nukem 3D just a little more fun.
Hell of a lot of fun. Yeah. No, I did a number of DN3D matches as well. But Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight Also, fully 3D rendered multiplayer
Yes.
shooter. 12 player matches or maybe 16. I forget.
I don't remember.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
However, the cool thing about like, I know Quake has like well, they're still modding it today. Did you know they're still modding Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight today as well? The original mod site that kind of conglomerated around the Dark Forces 2 community, Masasi.net, is still live in its original form with new submissions as of like a month ago. They have total conversion mods for weapon packs and total conversion gameplay modifications and everything else. They also support everything from they support Jedi Outcast and Jedi Academy and whatnot. But
Jedi Academy is great too. Yeah.
But that community started around Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. Yeah. And I remember a modern weapons conversion where it replaced your Imperial blaster and thermal detonators with grenades in an AK-47.
Yeah.
And what other game did that back in that day? There were none. There was no Modern Warfare. There was no World War II shooter. There was nothing like that. But here's a fully 3D modeled game that you can go and obliterate people in the Jedi Temple with, you know, modern day rocket launchers and MP5s.
It was that was the same thing with me, except I remember doing Dark Forces 2. That was a lot of fun too. But yeah, we went from for me anyway, it went from Doom, especially Doom 2, because of the multiplayer in Doom 2 was great.
Yeah.
To Duke Nukem 3D and then to Unreal Tournament. That was my progression.
Yep. Yeah, was that our last super chat? Yeah, Quake or Doom.
That was our last super chat.
I just wanted to make sure. Novella says, I'm such a tease with the beer. Well, you know what the nice thing about a bomber is you can report it a couple of different times.
You got 22 ounces versus the 16 cans. So you get a little more extra space. And I have to say, okay, so I didn't really say, because I said that the first Northwest IPA one was pretty standard.
Yeah.
Whereas the hazy is amazing.
Really?
It is excellent. It is way up there with like I'm gonna say like Christ Knife, maybe Greenfields type of hazy. Very, very good. Definitely.
I was gonna say, because Fort George makes Christ Knife, and holy crap, that's a really, really good hazy.
Yes, this is like I would take this between like Greenfields and Christ Knife. It's kind of a mix between the two, is what I would kind of categorize. It's really good. Smells wonderful, tastes wonderful, good citrusy notes. Doesn't have that hot burn in the back.
Yeah,
easy to drink. I mean, yes, I can do 16 ounces, no problem with this.
Yep. So Rhett chimes in and asks, new glasses, Jeff. Yes, I do have some new glasses, and they are definitely a alternative style of glasses than from what I've worn for well over a decade. I think somewhere around 2010 or 2012, I started going with the Oakley rims, but the rimless bottoms, and so they were rimmed on top and then an elastic band on bottom. And these are my first full rim glasses in probably 15 years, if not a little bit more. So it's amazing what just that change can do to the look of you. So here's a pair of my older glasses.
Yeah,
and that's what I look like. And you know, as always, I'm Jeff. I don't know who the hell I am, because this, just adding that black line, that's a completely different look.
That's very similar to my style of glasses. I don't wear my glasses on the stream that often. I usually wear my contacts, but
so interesting story out of so much travel in August. I lost my main pair of readers. So I have two prescriptions. I have a standard prescription that I wear all the time, and then I also have a pair of readers for when I'm only going to be on the PC. And I lost my reading glasses, and so I realized this about 3 days before I left for Nova Scotia. but I'm like, well, the last time I went and got my eyes examined wasn't that long ago.
Right.
I'll just get my prescription. I'll head down to Lens Crafters, get a new pair of glasses.
Yep.
Whatever. So went down there, told him, hey, lost my glasses, but today is Sunday and I'm leaving Tuesday night. And so I need a quick turnaround. Here's my prescription. Do you have something in stock that might work? And they went, oh yeah, no, find a pair of frames you want. Let's see if we have your prescription in stock, which they happened to, including blue light and anti-glare on the glasses. And I'm like, that's perfect. Like, I'm in front of a computer. That's kind of what I was going to ask you for anyway.
That's what you want. Yeah, you need it anyway, yeah.
So they had my prescription in stock. But then they go, do you have a newer version of this prescription? This one expired 6 months ago.
Oh, come on, dude. It's like...
And I went, you're not selling me drugs.
I mean...
For God's sake, it's glasses. Like, now, little bit of a backstory on me. I do have an astigmatism. It's not terrible, and I've had glasses since I was around 12 years old. And my prescription's not that insane. It's a 1.75 and a +2. But around 17 years old, I got the strep virus in my eyes.
Eek.
Which I didn't know was a thing, but apparently can be a thing. So I went to school one morning, rode my bike to school, junior in high school, and was going, wow, I'm really tired this morning because I can barely freaking see. And locked my bike up, went into my 0-period chemistry class. That should tell you how tired I was. And the whole time I'm going, I'm just tired. Like, my eyes will wake up. I'll splash them with some water in between periods. I'll be fine, right? Well, I was also the kid who also always forgot his book. So teacher watches me stagger in, sit down at my desk, and whatnot. And he's like, well, we're going to read today's chapter. Jeff, why don't you start us off? And I went, I'm sorry, but I can't. And he goes, what do you mean you can't? Did you forget your book again? Like, freaking hell, Jeff. This is like the 3rd time this week. What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And so I reached under my desk and I'm like, no, I have my book. What I'm telling you is I can't freaking see right now.
I can't see it, yeah.
I cannot see my hand in front of my face. I don't know who's talking to me. I can't read the board. I can't read the clock. I don't know how I got here in the first place, but I made it to class. And he goes, do you need to see the nurse? And I said, I think I might. And he goes, okay, I'm sorry.
Well, at least he was nice about it, right?
His demeanor changed immediately once he realized, oh, maybe there's something else. Okay. So called the nurse. They called me down to the office. They tried to do an eye test in the office, and I failed miserably.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're going to go and call your parents and see if they can come pick you up and get you into the doctor. Went into the doctor, and I went from basically 20/20 with a minor correction. Like, back then, like, it was just like, oh, I might need reading glasses every once in a while. To like, wow, you're legally blind right now. Yeah. And we don't know why, but you're like 180/20 in your left eye and 200/20 in your right. Like, that's impressive.
Can't even see nothing.
I can't see anything. And so they're poking and prodding at my eyes for like 6 hours. And finally they take like a Q-tip and they jam it into the corner of my eye and express some fluids and things like that. And
the most comfortable thing ever, yes.
And they're like, oh, you got the strep virus in your eyes. Here's some steroids that you need to apply for the next 4 weeks. Plus, like, this a super aggressive amount of antibiotics and whatnot. And they're like, and hopefully it doesn't do permanent damage.
Strep in your eye. Now, isn't strep throat? Isn't that like the kissing disease? Like, you get that?
No, strep is the swallowing glass.
Yeah.
You're thinking mono.
Yeah. I'm thinking mono.
Yeah. Right. No, strep is I feel like I'm swallowing glass. I got that in my eyes. gave me some super aggressive antibiotics. I had like this steroid gel I had to apply to my eyelid like 3 times a day. Still ended up permanently damaging some of the muscle linings in my eyes. And it's not that my eyes are terrible, it's just sometimes they'll get stuck at a certain focus point. And so if you hold your hand up in front of your face and you can focus on your hand, and then you can look past it and focus on the wall in front of you, and then come back and focus on your hand again. Sometimes my eyes will be able to focus on my hand and then not focus on anything else.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they'll get stuck out there and they can't focus in.
It's like your eyeballs are a cheap Chinese webcam.
Kind of, yes. Yeah. No, the autofocus on my eyes sucks.
Yeah.
But my eyes also cannot focus without a significant amount of eye strain. And so I have 2 prescriptions that I have to keep. Yeah. That one of them is for like just daily use, which kind of takes everything and just kind of goes and just pops it into place. And then I also have a prescription that's specifically for reading that keeps my focus close to me so I can read my laptop screen and everything else. And with my glasses, I have 20/20 vision and function normally. But without my glasses, sometimes like I'll be driving my truck and I could read the speedometer, but I can't read the speed sign in front of me. And sometimes vice versa. Like it's weird.
It's very hard for your eyes to shift.
Yeah, it cannot. Yeah. They cannot shift focus all of the time. Anyway, long story short, lost my reading glasses. Cannot find them, and they said, "Well, your prescription expired 6 months ago." And I went, "You're not trying to sell me drugs. I just need eyeglasses that I can read with." And they're like, "Well, because," and I said, "I'm not using insurance. I'm paying cash." And they're like, "Still legally, we cannot fulfill a prescription unless we have a valid prescription, and unless it's within expiration." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding." Okay, let me call my provider. So I called my provider. They're closed on Sundays. And so I had to leave a very angry message with my eye care provider that said, "Hey, so I'm trying to get some glasses because I leave like in the afternoon on Tuesday. I have a shop that can make them. If you would just update my prescription. That's all I need. Just like say, yes, I can sell you this. That's all I need."
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. I'd be happy to come in for an appointment next week, but you're not going to fit me into an appointment tomorrow in time to get me a new prescription so I can blah, 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 blah. So left him a message. Called him back as soon as they opened it at 8 in the morning. They go, "Oh yeah, we got your message. Let me, take a couple of notes down. And what are you trying to do?" And I'm like, "I'm just trying to get glasses so I can travel across the continent. That's all I want to do."
Yeah.
And, okay, well, let me pass it along to your doctor and da-da-da-da-da. I think I got all the notes here. I think we're good to go. They called me back, or no, I got a message on my healthcare app. And I'm, okay, cool. This is probably my updated prescription. And it said, "Hi, I'm the assistant for the doctor. We don't just update prescriptions. You need to come in for..." And I went, did none of what I said get translated into text?
Yeah, nothing goes in their heads.
I literally have 36 hours to get a new pair of glasses, or I'm going to be blind during the summit. And so I had to call back, and I talked to like 12 people in the course of 2 hours of forwarding and like, "Hi, this is Jeff. Yeah, so here's the, you know what, can I just talk to Lisa again?"
Like, she knows my story.
Right, I don't
have to tell my story for the 18th time.
And by the end of it, it's like, "I'm going to be brief. I'm going to be direct. I'm really sorry. This isn't your fault, but I just need a pair of glasses." Finally got it passed through and said, like, "I just need you to change the expiration date so they can make my glasses. I have a place that can do it as long as it's not expired."
Yeah.
Why is there an expiration date on glasses prescriptions? I know prescriptions can change over the years.
Yes, your eyes can change.
But you're not giving me steroids or methamphetamines.
Yeah.
Crying out loud.
It's not like okay, the worst thing that could happen is like your eyesight isn't as great. It's like, yes, your prescription can change a little bit and it may shift a little bit, but from year over year, it's not going to change that drastically much. So
right,
it should be totally fine. I just need to extend it a couple of days. I just need permission to get some replacements. That's all I need. Yeah. I mean, was it just reading glasses you were getting?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was my closer up distance.
Yeah, you could have just went to a retirement home and started stealing glasses.
I really could have.
Those worked.
Right.
You're just like, does these work?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So these are my new readers.
Sorry, Walter. I'm taking your glasses.
Yeah. This is typically what I'm wearing when I'm on camera. And so, but no, again, long story short, it's been a long time since I've had full frames, and it's amazing what just that little.
Right.
These are not that different. These are still Oakleys. These are still the same shape lenses and everything else from my typical glasses. But it's amazing what a difference in my face that makes.
Yeah. It kind of changes the whole...
It changes everything.
Area underneath it, yeah.
It is so weird.
Well, enough that Rhett recognized it.
Right. SDA says I got LASIK if you're a good candidate. I'm not, because my problem is not with the lens or the cornea or the coating or anything like that in my eye. It's that my eye the muscles around my eye can't cause my eye to change shape in the way that it needs to be able to focus. So it's a muscle problem, not a physical problem with the eye. Novella, how else are they going to rub your wallet, Jeff? I'm assuming you mean in the Comcast way. Oh, you need new glasses? Oh, that's terrible.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Just changed the year in the PDF. There was a moment that crossed my mind because my prescription was via PDF and all I did was submit it on a printed sheet of paper, which I totally could have modified in Adobe at any point in time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah. So, yeah. No, I've I totally considered that, but I also wanted to make sure I was doing it fully legit, even though the steps were completely ridiculous along the way. That being said, I know lens crafters, their job is to make glasses same day. Yep. And in fact, in my lifetime, they used to advertise, get your glasses inside of an hour.
In
about an hour. And like, I know that's their job. I know that's their company. I still want to give a shout out to Jasmine and my local lens crafters, because holy crap, they, when I walked in on day 2 and gave them my updated prescription, they're like, oh, you got the updated prescription. That's all. Like, I didn't even talk to this person yesterday, but they know who I am. They know I'm walking in. They know that we're going to rush order this. Jasmine gave me an extra discount that they really didn't have to give because I was paying cash and not insurance. And she's like, I feel terrible that you lost a pair of glasses while traveling and everything else. And we want to be able to help you. If you can get us the prescription information, we can totally do this. I walked in with it, and she turned around and goes, this guy goes to the top of your list, and gave it to the lab and goes like, no, we're getting this within an hour. And I gave him the updated prescription, I think at like 10:40, and I got a call at 11:20 that your prescription is ready. So
nice and fast.
Again, Lens Crafters, giant company. Didn't have to care about me, the person, at all. I didn't walk in as Craft Computing Jeff. I just walked in as, oh, this asshole.
Yeah, exactly. What are they going to do? You're going to throw some Craft Computing clout at Lens Crafters?
But holy crap, the Lens Crafters in Salem, they totally went above and beyond, like making sure I got taken care of and making sure I had glasses for my flight. So thank you. Like, totally thank you. You know who we shouldn't be thanking? The FCC.
Yes. I was going to say, we got to move on with some stories. We only got 15 minutes.
Wow, it's 7. Holy, how did it get to 7:45? Did we spend the last 45 minutes on Starfield?
We were rambling, man.
Okay. Today's video is brought to you by Fremont Beer, 13.5% B-bomb.
Keeps you going.
Ride the Yeti. FCC. This is an update to a story that that I believe John and I talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Where the FCC, a lot of broadbands, so your Comcasts, your Coxes, your Verizons, were going, do we really have to define all of the taxes and fees that we're charging? Can't we just like round them up and go like, F you, pay us the $20 on top of our normal service fees? The FCC said, no, suck it up, write them down, and then pay them where they need to go, you grubby little mother... FCC says too bad to ISPs complaining that listing every fee they have to charge is just too hard.
Come on, these are all generated reports,
right?
You have to you got to pay somebody to change some crystal report somewhere, something like that. It's not that hard. I mean, honestly, there's probably going to be some development time for their processes, but honestly, it's going to take like 2 weeks to make those changes. Not that hard.
Yeah. The thing is, they're already doing this. This wasn't a case of like, hey, you need us to change our billing practices and start defining everything that we have. It was, no, you have to still define what each individual tax and fee means.
They're probably still tracking it. They're just like writing a report to the bill that gives to the customer to say, oh, here's all the fees, slap together, boom, there it is.
Yeah.
And now they're just forcing them to develop the report to, oh, no, you got to spit them all out.
Yeah.
They got them stored somewhere in a database somewhere.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that. Oh, I'm going to say database. Maybe an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know.
So Lumen says, I was hoping the FCC would clap back at them for asking for zero transparency on their bills. Actually, they did a little bit. So the FCC rejected the order, asking for, like, can't we just charge like a bulk, like, processing and taxes and government and whatever else fees that we charge? And they said, no, we affirm our requirements that providers display all monthly fees with respect to broadband service on the label to provide consumers with clear and accurate information about the cost of their broadband service. Thus, we decline providers' requests that they not disclose those fees, or that they are instead display an up to price for certain fees they choose to pass through on to consumers. Moreover, let's scroll down a little bit, shall we? FCC pointedly says ISPs can simplify their pricing if they choose to do so. Maybe not make it so freaking complex and complicated. A la the Comcasts and Dish Networks of the world and DirecTVs. I've had problems with all of these organizations over the years, charging random service fees and then like, oh no, you get 30% off for the first 6 months, and then if you get a kicker from months 3 to 6, you also get an additional 10%, but then those both cancel out, and then we get you into the new rate, which is based on the previous 6 months allocation of the data that you use. But it's like they've got a whole flow chart. It's literally like an MLM payout scheme, but inside of a broadband bill. We also disagree that clear disclosure of the fees has the potential to cause significant confusion for consumers and add unnecessary complexity for providers due to the huge variety and quantity of fees on broadband providers. Providers must itemize the fees on consumer bills, and we see no reason why consumers cannot assess the fees at the point of sale any less than they can when they receive a bill. Wow, what a thought. Providers are free, of course, to not pass these fees through to consumers to differentiate their pricing and simplify their label display if they believe it will make their service more attractive to consumers and ensure that consumers are not surprised by unexpected charges and fees. That means stop charging only $90 for broadband and then $120 after services and fees and taxes. Why not just advertise your broadband as $120 and be done with it?
Yeah. Boom. Nope.
Maybe no bait and switch to the consumer might be beneficial to the consumer understanding what the bloody hell you're trying to charge. So yeah, no, if you read legalese, this was kind of a scathing letter.
Yeah. Quit gouging. Yeah, exactly. Just charge what it is supposed to be charged and get done with it.
Further, we are not persuaded that it will be burdensome for ISPs to itemize on the labels the fees that they opt to pass on to consumers above the monthly price, particularly since providers acknowledge being able to describe such fees to a consumer over the phone and on a consumer's bill once the consumer subscribes to the service. So if you have to explain it, you have to itemize it out for yourself anyway, so you can explain to customers why the bill is as it reads. We also find that any such burdens are far outweighed by the beliefs to consumers when they are shopping for service. ISPs could alternatively roll out such discretionary fees into the monthly base price, thereby eliminating the need to itemize them on the label anyway.
Just make them one.
Stop advertising lower than you can actually charge,
Say,
and just charge consumers what they should be paying in the end. Done.
One flat price. Yep.
You have de facto monopolies anyway. Why are you trying to fool us?
Yeah, exactly. Where are they going to go? Most places only have like one or two ISPs.
One broadband provider. That's it. That's all I have in my area.
We have two now, which is nice.
Yeah.
But I have yet to like threaten my current one with moving to the other one because I haven't really heard great things. It's Xfinity. I haven't heard that they're any better than my current provider, so I guess I could like threaten them with like, hey, give me a good deal or I bounce.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even have that power because I have Comcast or I have CenturyLink DSL.
Yeah.
Those are my two providers.
CenturyLink's even worse.
which I don't put into the definition of broadband because, well, neither does the FCC.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at my current bill, and it has my flat rate, and then it has one internet infrastructure fee, whatever that means.
Yep.
They might be rolling up all the fees up into one like this generic fee, infrastructure fee. But I mean, to be fair, if the fee's only like $10 and whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, Comcast cable. Yeah, I've never had to deal with any of those guys. I've heard nightmares about Comcast.
Yep.
Can
confirm.
Nightmares about Century. I've heard nightmares about Century, but I haven't had to deal with any of those guys, so
yeah,
I kind of count myself lucky.
So let me clarify. I really have 3 broadband providers that I can choose from. Only 2 of which are broadband by the FCC's definition. 100 meg and 10 up. So I can get up to 40 megabit DSL from CenturyLink, which is 40 down, 1 up.
Yeah,
which won't work for me for pretty obvious reasons. I have Comcast, which offers gig down and 35 up. They used to offer me 50 up, which I paid extra for, and then they stopped offering 50 up, but still charged me for the 50 up, even though they dropped it to 35. And so I said, well, drop me down to the regular price, and so they took $20 off my bill finally, but I still paid for the extra upload for a number of months. Even
though you didn't get it.
Even though I didn't get it. Even though symmetrical DOCSIS is totally a thing that they should be rolling out right now to get me like 300 up on a gig down.
If they wanted to, yeah.
If they just freaking turned it on, which they don't. I have Comcast here. I also have Starlink. And the reason I have Starlink is not because I'm uppity or I think Elon Musk is the savior of all. No, I freaking hate Elon Musk. But I do have an RV, and so I do have the Starlink RV plan, so I can take my RV and not have to rely on campground Wi-Fi. In fact, twice now.
Notoriously terrible.
Right, which twice now, I've ran Talking Head streams off of Starlink. Yeah. Now, the reason I have Starlink is because it serves as a fantastic alternative to Comcast if Comcast ever goes down. 3 times I've ran Talking Heads off of Starlink. And the idea being was that I make a decent amount of money whenever I do a live stream. Upwards of like $200 per stream is about what, I mean, just full transparency, what I make between either sponsor spots or super chats or whatever else. $200 per stream. If I save myself 2 live streams per year, I've paid for my Starlink connection.
Yeah, there you go.
So I have Starlink. Guess what? Last year, I used it twice in lieu of Comcast when Comcast was down on a Wednesday night. And once I broadcasted live from a campsite off battery power.
Yeah.
And that was freaking cool.
That's pretty cool, actually.
So that's
Jeff,
why I have Starlink.
Wilderness streamer.
Right. And in fact, I was going to talk to Rhett about maybe we wrap up summer in Oregon with like, let's find like some remote place in Oregon where I can get on top of a mountainside and bring a battery pack, and we'll do a 2-hour live show from like an hour out of town. And like, let's go up to like the top of Silver Falls and broadcast live. Like that would be a hell of a lot of fun.
I think Silver Falls actually has pretty good cell data already.
They do have cell data, but getting the upload and getting the consistency, because cellular is not as consistent.
Not great. No, it's not as consistent. You're correct.
Yeah. And Zeus says, make that 205 for this stream. Yeah, my man. Actually, it's $31.86 plus $200 for the Linode spot. So I'm at $231 for this stream.
Nice.
Got it.
Boom.
So thank you. Steve's Beer, brought to you by Zeus.
Yeah, thank you. It's got me.
So yeah, no, I have 2 ISPs that I do pay for each and every month. One of them simply as a backup because I can't rely entirely on the former, but the backup also gives me the ability to like go out and about and maybe do live streams from where I wouldn't normally be.
Right.
You know, one of the live streams that I did just a couple of months ago, I did while on vacation at a campsite, and it's like, where else can you do that?
I think where would be a good place you can go, like out in the middle of nowhere, that would be like a fun place to stream from? Because I know, Silver Falls would be pretty cool.
What if we went down to the Willamette paddle boat?
Oh, that might be okay.
Like live streamed from the dock or something.
Is it? Yeah, we can. Oh, what would be? You know, even with I'm trying to think another good place. Well, there's a lot of good places in Eastern Oregon, but that's a little too far to drive.
Yeah.
Bend is still well covered. You could get some good internet.
Bend is well covered, and they have enough like tap houses and things like that.
Yeah,
like if I wanted to go to Bend. No, I could totally go like Canyon City or Baker City or
it's like Baker City
way out there.
That's way out there though. I mean that's like
4 hours from nothing.
5-hour drive. Yeah, that's a long way away.
Novella says Tillamook. Tillamook might be interesting.
Tillamook is. I love
Tillamook. The problem with Tillamook is it sneezes if someone flushes the toilet twice.
Yeah, Tillamook is. And Tillamook's not. I wouldn't call Tillamook picturesque.
So those who don't know Oregon probably have heard of Tillamook simply because of Tillamook Farms and Tillamook dairy and cheese and ice cream and things like that. The problem is you have to have enough cows to make a farm and a dairy work. And so Tillamook is kind of a wonderful place to drive through. They've got a couple of really good bars there. They've got a couple of really good restaurants, but holy crap, anywhere within like a 15-mile radius of Tillamook is not the most pleasant place to be.
It just smells. You can smell the cow farms miles away from that place.
Would Starlink work on a light aircraft? Not the version of the dish that I have. So Starlink does have a roaming dish, which is a flat mount dish that can receive from multiple angles, but it doesn't necessarily have the same speed capabilities as the standard dish that can triangulate with wherever the satellites are coming from. And it's more made for vehicles, not planes or boats or anything like that.
Yeah. You know, it'd be kind of, I mean, it's a little more Northern California than Oregon, but like if you do a live stream from like the Redwoods, that would be pretty cool.
Gold Beach, Rogue River.
Gold Beach, yeah, there you go.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of places on the coast that are just not
Cannon Beach,
but Cannon Beach. No, even further south, Bannon.
Oh, yeah.
They have all those rock formations.
Go hit the dunes and the golf course right there.
Yeah, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. You see the head lighthouse, there's not even cell phone coverage there.
No, there isn't. Yeah. That one was completely blank for me.
Yeah, going like Florence and whatnot. No, there's plenty of areas to go around here that are like within 2 hours that are like picturesque.
Oh
like,
yeah, completely.
Yeah. So, no, there's definitely a lot of possibilities, and I actually need to get out and do one of those. So there's a company that sent me over a battery pack and solar panel for a review. I've written most of the review, but I didn't get any B-roll or any like real world use cases for the review because it just didn't work out timing wise. So I did go camping. I took this battery pack with me and set up some solar panels and whatnot. And it's like, oh, cool. Like
we'll see how it works out. Yeah,
it's powering our Starlink dish and it's basically free. But then it's like I ended up having to go home during that time and didn't get to use it for the purpose that I wanted.
So it didn't quite work out. Yeah.
Right. So a couple of weeks ago, even like, I think 4 of the last 12 talking heads have been on remote, remote shoots. Like it's been a weird couple of months around
That's
here.
why this is so odd, because like, oh, this is normal.
Right.
This doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Why is this so easy and normal?
Yeah. Anyway, one of the shows, even from my office, was supposed to be lakeside.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to make that happen and it just didn't work. Just because of some personal things that popped up. No, I totally want to get out and do like a no electricity, no cell service live show.
Right.
And broadcast with Starlink and a laptop and a camera and a battery pack and go like, no, we're freaking doing this.
Yeah.
So next week we're going to try to work out. Next week is episode 300 of Talking Heads.
Right. A momentous occasion.
Yes.
An anniversary, yes.
We're going to finally try and make it to only the second tap house that we've made it to in my local area since the show started. Yeah. Episode 9, I believe, was the last time we made it to a local tap house, and that was Barrel and Keg, which unfortunately closed 2 months ago.
Oh, Barrel and Keg closed?
Yeah.
They did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was super bummed when I saw that. They closed. So Barrel and Keg was a fantastic tap house, bottle shop, winery, and also had a parking lot where like a dozen different food trucks would come during the week. Yeah. And so you could get phenomenal tacos and Thai food and all kinds of stuff, and then go in and have a couple of like really good pints.
Yeah, they usually had good stuff on tap.
Yeah. No, they ended up closing shop just a couple of months ago.
That's too bad.
Yeah. But that was the last local place that we've done a remote live show at. I've been trying so hard to be able to get into San NW, which is another local brewery, which all of us love.
Yes, we've talked about Pirate Stout several times.
We have booked the location twice,
and twice got canceled.
Had to call them the day before and went, nah,
sorry,
it's not gonna work out.
Sorry, it happened. Yeah.
So the last time we tried to do it, I believe was episode 150, and we're like, yeah, we're back. We're totally like post-COVID era. And then like
I think somebody got sick or something like that. Yeah.
No, it wasn't even someone got sick. It was that everyone around us got sick. Like all of a sudden the hospital filled up within like a week, and we're like, we can't do this.
Yeah, we can't do this.
Like this is not okay right now. But we're gonna try to book San NW Brewing. They have a meeting room, with a giant glass window, like a giant glass wall, with a full view of their brewery behind us.
You can see all the kilns and stuff like that.
It's a beautiful room. We're gonna try to go there next week for episode 300, and we're gonna try to have all 4 of us, all hands on deck, do a show, maybe talk about the history Talking Heads, maybe talk about some news stories. Who knows? But we're gonna try to do that next week, and then I think maybe at the end of the month we will try to do a live show somewhere remote as summer is ending here in Oregon.
Yeah, it's actually cooled down quite a bit because we had quite the heat wave, and then this last couple of days we've had rain and overcast, and I mean, not that I'm complaining. I like the little respite cool weather.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
we'll see.
Will chimes in with 250 in euro money. That's like 252 in US money. So thank you very much.
Getting close.
Using 5G as my main internet for 2 months, 250 down, 25 up. That's definitely not shabby.
That's not too bad.
My problem with 5G internet actually comes down to latency, where you'll suffer about 10 times the latency as a wired connection. And it's nothing against it if that's your option, because it totally works. But for incremental file handoff or synchronization or things like that, latency is a huge
issue,
barrier to speed and actual throughput and bandwidth. And it works great where it's kind of like hard drives. If you're sequentially writing a hard drive, some newer hard drives are as fast as early generation SSDs, where you can sustain writes of like 400 megabit per second. And you can read at like 300 or 400 megabit per second. But then try to open that one Word document from 3 months ago that is fragmented across two different sectors. It's a whole thing.
Taking so long,
right? So yeah, no, I've actually used 5G for a number of things. On my phone service is Google Fi, and it's basically unlimited. So we have 12 gigs of guaranteed high-speed service. But then as long as you're in a low service area, they never turn you off from high speed.
Right.
And we're in a low service area. And so I've used 30 gigs in a month before, and I've never been transferred to the low speed tier, till the end of your billing cycle or something like that. So whenever I travel, my phone is always not on Wi-Fi. Simply because it's an extra security measure, because I don't have to trust the local access point. I just have to trust my mobile network. And I'd rather trust Google Fi than I would Starbucks or Tim Hortons.
Some random Wi-Fi connection.
Right. Or internet Wi-Fi, or, airport Wi-Fi or something like that. And so my phone is always on mobile data. And it's worked great. I've done, video conferences over tethered cell phone connections before, and it works fine. But you do notice a thing when you try to actually sling data from one thing to another.
Right. You do too much.
It bottles up quick.
Outside of it does crash it a little bit. Takes the performance down.
Anyway, we have two very quick beer stories to get to.
Yeah.
Western Mass News says this beer festival is unlike any other in the country because this beer festival takes place inside of a corn maze.
Yeah.
Can you imagine, just from someone who has worked and still sometimes works in the live events field?
Yeah.
Can you imagine getting regulatory clearance to hold a beer festival in a corn maze?
I know that's the part that kind of cracked me up about this article, because it's like, I mean, you can see from the picture, okay, corn maze. The passageways are not that complex. There's some interjoining passageways.
Right.
So they're not that hard to get around.
And I think that's probably how they got approval for it.
That's probably what it is. Because if they made it any more complex,
it is
after somebody gets a little inebriated, they're gonna just be lost in the middle of this thing.
So I've seen some corn mazes, and as someone who works, let me just state, in the haunted house industry. Okay. Someone who's been involved in the haunted house industry for almost 20 years, who has dealt with everything from corn mazes to haunted houses to public events to getting permits for this and carny style food and deep fryers and like everything that goes into an event like this. These are some of the straightest lines I've ever seen cut in a cornfield. So you have Depot 1, Depot 2, Depot 3, and Depot 4. And then you have, we'll go to tent A, tent B, tent B, tent A. There's nothing but straight lines in here with single in, single out passageway. Yeah. That's the only way they got approval for this.
Yeah. If they made it too complex, people would get way too lost. But it's still a pretty neat concept. Right. I kind of like this idea.
There's one intersection that I can see, or two intersections. Yes. There's one right here, and there's another up here that go like go to tents 1, 2, or 4, or go to tents 2, 4, or 7.
Yeah.
And that's it. Other than that, it's A to B kind of destination.
Right. It's not,
which is why this is okay.
Yeah, this is why this is okay. I kind of would like a more complex corn maze. That would be kind of fun. I can see why insurance purposes and certain reasons why they can't do that.
You're never going to get that.
You're never going to get approved for that. Yeah.
So, one little known fact about me is I've been the manager of a haunted house in the area. One of the most popular haunted houses in the state of Oregon for almost 20 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I have been managing the haunt in some capacity since 2005. So this is my 18th year going into. I will be managing this haunted house this next month. I used to do Disneyland style photos at this haunted house where we would take your picture inside and then I'd sell you your photo outside. And it went from print to digital where it's like, hey, pay me $5 and I'll email it to you now. We were one of the first haunted houses to offer animated GIFs of your experience inside the haunted house, where we had an infrared camera that would capture like 12 frames of you getting scared at like 5 frames per second. It was awesome. And I'd send you an animated GIF of you getting the life scared out of you. And then transitioned from that into actual haunt manager and kind of general manager of the attraction in the last decade or so. And so this is Milburn's Haunted Manor. It is out of Hubbard, Oregon, and it is like 30 miles from anything except from Steve.
Well, or John. John actually kind of lives closer.
Yeah, John even lives even closer. But yeah, it is in Hubbard, Oregon. I manage this every single weekend in October. We are one of the highest rated haunted houses in the country. We are in the top 50 haunted houses in the country and consistently the first or second rated haunted house in the state of Oregon. I look at this and I see all of the problems and all of the logistics and everything that went into this, and I understand why there's only one pathway that leads from one tap house to another within the cornfield, and that's because of fire marshals. They don't like events like this.
They don't like enclosed spaces where it's hard to get in and out of.
They don't like flammable enclosed spaces.
Yes,
with lots of people congregated in open areas inside of them. Yeah. GIF just lost 10 points for respect of our host. Oh, you mean what they called the original dancing baby things back in 1996 that I was present for?
We've had this thing about GIF and GIF. I still think it's GIF, even though the original guy says it's GIF. Everybody, the popular nomenclature is.
I'm really surprised you say GIF because GIF came way later than GIF did.
No, I'm not saying it didn't. I'm just saying that just seems to be what everybody's saying it is now. I mean, if language evolves...
If you're going to take the 55-45 of everyone says GIF, then you're part of the problem.
Well, I mean, there's people that don't speak proper Old English anymore for a reason.
Right.
Because things evolve. I mean, yes, maybe it was originally GIF, but you could cling on to that too. You can also answer your phone with ahoy hoy if you want to as well. No one's going to discount you for that.
Hello?
Ahoy hoy.
Who are you looking for? Well, I'm trying to call 3. Well, this is 7. Like, yeah. His name is Jeff, by the way. No, I've always known it as GIF. It will ever be GIF because that's the word that I learned. And if you create something, don't you get naming rights to it? Like, for God's sakes.
You do, but the thing was at the time when the GIF was created, it was all in print. People were talking back and forth with BBSs and texting.
Right.
No one was over there was no YouTube, there was no video, there was no talking really.
Right.
So it was up to interpretation of the person who was reading it.
But when everyone that I know says GIF, and then...
See, I had the opposite experience. Everybody I knew said GIF.
Which is why you think you're right and why I think I'm right. It's because regional differences of dialect and interpretation and reading and pronunciation led us to believe that was correct. But then when the creator comes out and says, no, I wanted it to be GIF. it solidifies one side of that argument.
Well, okay, but it doesn't matter because the whole zeitgeist of everything.
If you create Microsoft and people start calling it Microsoft, wouldn't you be a little bent out of shape?
Well, no, but there was never an argument with Microsoft and Microsoft.
Right, because Bill Gates named it Microsoft, and you all accepted it as Microsoft.
Yeah.
But if you all called it Microsoft and Bill Gates says, no, my company name is actually Microsoft, you would adjust.
If everybody said Microsoft for like the first 10 years of its existence, and then all of a sudden 10 years later, Bill Gates comes and says, no, it's actually Microsoft, people are still going to call it Microsoft.
There's a small population who will not respect the naming scheme of it and go like, no, I heard it as Microsoft in 1979. I'm not going to change what I'm saying. Yeah. But again, everyone that I knew that had seen an animated GIF pop up on screen goes, "Hey, have you seen the new Dancing Baby GIF?" And
you're the Abe Simpsons. We called it GIF at the time, and that was the fashion at the time.
That was the fashion at the time, right? No, I totally am, but. And you can call me right, and you can call me wrong. Oh, you mean Micritic? Right. I've actually talked to Micritic. I've asked them how they say it. Guess how they say it? It's Micritic. It's not Microtic. It's not Microtalk. It's Micritic. That's how they pronounce it. So that's how I pronounce it. Guess what? When the owner of the name GIF says I pronounce it GIF, I'm going to pronounce it GIF. When Bill Gates says it's Microsoft, I'm going to say Microsoft. I'm not calling it Tim Apple.
Well, but there's Microsoft is also a corporation that's built around it.
I don't care. Naming rights are all the same.
He long released the rights for the GIF.
Yeah,
so he's like, it's open source now.
Technically, GIF is an acronym and has no official pronunciation. That is partially correct. So the people say graphics, graphical interface. Yeah. You're totally wrong because NASA should be NASA, and whatnot. Like by that definition, you're right. The pronunciation of an acronym has no official rules inside of the English language. But the creator of a word, of a name, of a nomenclature still gets to name that thing. I'm going to lean on the original creator said GIF, and so should you, out of respect for what was created.
I don't know. Out of respect to the population, I'm going to go with GIF.
If this were like 70 years from now and the creator were long dead, you would have a leg to stand on. He's still alive.
I know he's still alive. I don't know if it really maddens him. He probably doesn't care, to be honest.
Right.
I don't know. It would be interesting to ask him. Be like, hey, does the mispronunciation of the format you created bother you?
Do you say Linux or Debian?
No, I say Linux.
What do you say for the other?
Debian.
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 You know why? Debian. It's named after Deb and Ian, who created the distro.
Deb and Ian, Debian.
Debian. Yeah. So, if you say Debian, you're wrong, because the original creators said, no, this is how we pronounce it.
Yeah, but people still know what you're talking about, so...
Is that okay, though?
Yeah, I mean...
If you're in front of them, if you were repeating their word back to them, if I'm speaking German and I say, oh yeah, no, I grew up and learned that, Scheissekopf inside of Wolfenstein meant this word, and it's pronounced Scheissekopf. And
are you trying to make some kind of
then am I going to say
aristocracy where
then am I going to say, oh no, around here we say your words this way? Is that okay?
Well, yeah, I mean,
I argue it's not.
There's also different ways that people pronounce things in different regions of places.
Ubuntu. Yes, I know the African tribe for which it was named.
Yeah,
you can say it Ubuntu or Ubuntu or Ubuntu. There are some leeways in that.
I'm thinking that as long as people know what you're talking about, that should be okay. I mean,
it should be, but also, don't you get naming rights over your own thing?
He still named it what he wanted, just people pronounce it differently. Different people do. No one's calling.
If someone started calling my channel Crafed Computing, I'd be furious. Okay.
I wouldn't mind if it was called Crepes Computing.
Crepe Computing.
We could have crepes instead of beer. We eat crepes.
You're not wrong. I love a good crepe.
Crepe's great, man.
But, if someone started calling my channel Crafed Computing, that's not what I named it. That's not what I intended it to be.
No, I understand that, but everyone's still, the popular thing is like, okay, it's craft computing. People know what it is. People know how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
The GIF and GIF, it was an anomalous thing. It could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
And, since there was no real official pronunciation at the time, people went one way or the other. So just kind of what the popular way went.
Yeah. Yeah. You get naming rights, you don't get pronunciation rights. You're arguing way into the semantics, and you're still totally wrong. Naming rights include pronunciation rights. Unless you're 100 years dead and that has become the common. I feel like that might be something that happens in the future where GIF is going to triumph over GIF, but at the time, the dude is still alive. This is only 15 years old. Why the hell is this an argument?
Well, because he's probably realized it's going to be fighting an uphill battle and he just doesn't care.
He probably doesn't. And
he probably doesn't.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how he got from beer festival maze to how to pronounce GIF and GIF.
Yeah.
Potatoes.
Yeah. I love that people are trying to misconstrue the G and the J. You realize Jeff is still Jeff, no matter if it's spelled with a J or a G. Freaking right.
There's two different ways of spelling it, and it's
still pronounced with a J, right? Yeah. That is the worst argument you could possibly make in this.
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff spelled with a G. Oh, really? You're gonna go that far? Well, then it's still fucking Jiff. Okay.
Well, I got my. Because I go by Steve, which is pretty normal.
Okay, Steve.
My real name is Stephen.
Right.
There's Steven, and there's also Stephen.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm
Stefen.
But it's still
Stefan.
They're still pronounced the same way. Different spellings pronounced the same way. It doesn't really matter.
Okay. But at the end of the day, don't you have jurisdiction over exactly the pronunciation you want? My last name is bizarre, and I'm not going to say my last name on screen.
Right.
I have heard every mispronunciation of my name possible.
Oh, yeah.
And my name is very phonetic. My name has a very specific pronunciation. And I'm sorry if you say my name incorrectly, which everyone did in the last week or so. Yeah. You're wrong. There's no other way to say it. I don't care if you read it and you go, oh, that's just the way I pronounce it. You're saying my freaking name wrong, okay?
But at what point do you correct them? There's obviously a time where, yes, it could get agitating and you correct it. And then there's other times where it's like, I'll let that slide, There's different times for different situations.
Depends on the situation. My high school graduation when it was mispronounced. So I'm not going to grab the mic and go, it's freaking Jeff, okay?
Yeah.
Get it right, guys. Right. You just learn to accept it for what it is. But at the same time, you can guarantee my daughters and my son know how to say their last name. And
of course, yeah.
So you still own some ownership. You still have some ownership over the way you pronounce it, even though the public pronunciation may be incorrect. Right?
Yeah. Well, you also just get people who are more, I guess would say phonetically knowledgeable about how things are pronounced, Yeah. Some people just aren't.
In fairness, they come from Nova Scotia. They pronounce things different. No, my name is weird. My name in American doesn't make sense because you pronounce every single letter in the name
differently.
Yeah. And so you have to take each individual character and pronounce that letter. Whereas in English, okay, are these two letters silent and then you say the rest, or is this one silent and then you do this? No. Each individual letter, it's 6 characters, it's 3 syllables. Okay?
Yeah.
But Jeff's last name is computing. But
so hard to pronounce, computing.
Do I correct every single person who pronounces my name wrong? No.
No, it'd be maddening after a while.
It'd be maddening, and there's really no point. But you can guarantee that my kids say my name right.
Oh, of course.
And they say their name right. Wait, are you Japanese? No, Nordic is what I will say. Yeah, just like Jeff's wife. Just like Jeff's wife's name is producer. Exactly right.
Yeah.
I don't have a wife. I have the producer.
The producer.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have been talking about this for way too freaking long.
For way too long.
It's pronounced Jiff, and this has been episode 299 of Talking Heads. And Steve, if you miscorrect me right now, I will cut you off, and I swear to God, we'll never have you back.
It's fine. I don't care at this point.
Jeff IKEA Computing. That's actually way closer than you might imagine. Anyway, this has been episode 299. Thank you all so much for joining us on this Wednesday night, or in podcast form over on Anchor.fm, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news. Steve, you have anything good of the order? Any like Hops and Brews projects coming up?
Well, not real. Well, I think we're probably gonna do some more reviews. I think John just dropped the pickle pie one, which was I don't know if you watched that one.
I didn't watch the pickle pie one.
Okay.
I heard there was a fantastic glass used in that video.
Yes, there was.
I can also say I know there's a barrel-aged beer coming up that we're all going to be part of.
Yes, there's one that we're going to be part of. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
But as far as I know, that pickle pie beer, if John has another can, that might be the one pickle beer that you might actually like, because it's not very pickle forward. There's not much pickle in there at all.
Doubt.
I was really surprised at how subdued it was. Like more like a salty aftertaste. But who knows?
Skull says in our mod chat, Jeff's last name sounds like a bookcase from last season's IKEA catalog that didn't sell well. You can add an umlaut over any of the three vowels, and you're bang on.
Yeah.
And that kind of pisses me off, but you're right.
But it's true.
Yeah. So, anyway, it was such a super cool week over in Nova Scotia, in Sydney, Nova Scotia, Canada, at the 45 Drives main campus. I've got a video coming out about it probably tomorrow evening. I'm still trying to finish up some finer points of it, finish my script of it. I didn't do any 2 camera pieces at 45 Drives because I just kind of wanted to just be there. I found I don't make the best engaging on presence videos. What I do best at is collecting my thoughts and shooting a video later. And so you're going to get an entirely voiceover video from this, but I feel it's going to more encapsulate the overall experience. So I'm hoping that translates through. It's been a long time since I've done a voiceover only video. There's a couple of them on my channel, but hopefully it's you get everything you need out of it. And should be fun. Anyway, got a lot of really cool videos coming up on the channel. We're going to be reviewing the 1X Player 1X Fly. I've got a short throw 4K laser projector coming up on the channel probably next week. That should be a lot of fun. I've got a new board from Latte Panda and another one from Zima coming up here shortly.
Not the drink Zima.
Not the drink Zima. The single board computer Zima.
Yes.
There it is. I have one of them right there. So Zima sent me a care package with their new thing that I'm going to put together into something. Plus, we're going to keep moving forward with the Proxmox TrueNAS kind of single like home lab server build with the 8-bay NAS. That should be a lot of fun. A lot of cool stuff coming up on the channel. Hope you will all join me for that. Anyway, this has been episode 299. Thank you all again so much for tuning in. And as always, we'll see you next week.
Next week, 300.
Cheers, everyone. Yes.
See you guys.
Hopefully live from a brewery.
Hopefully.